Hi, I'm Agent Ford. Do you think you can help me solve another true crime mystery? Anthony Sposato watched in horror as the unknown man in the hoodie repeatedly swung the 18-inch machete, resting it brutally on Eddie's body. He took it up and brought it down, over and over again. Some murders are vicious. This, however, is simply cold-blooded. A cold-blooded murder in broad daylight. People are still in shock over how the killer seems so nonchalant about machete meeting bone. It's easy to hear the bones crush under the impact, and for a killer to be that brutal, his face must have been totally passive, like he was not just taking a human life in one of the slowest and cruelest ways possible. The Mamma Mia Pizza restaurant was part of a mall establishment. It was well known around Santa Clarita Valley. It had a few chairs and tables outside to attract customers. The pizza restaurant usually opened by 11 a.m. However, some workers typically come in early to prepare for customers and deliveries before actual opening time, amongst which was Eddie Pollitelli. Edward John Pollitelli, nicknamed Eddie, was born to Carmine Pollitelli and, don't murder me in the comments, Vincenza Capriccio Pollitelli, on August 3, 1933, in Cranston, Rhode Island. He was 72 years old at the time of his death. He was divorced and had previously lost his son to cancer in 2000. After his divorce, he moved to Santa Clarita Valley, California, where he started working at Mamma Mia Pizza restaurant, located at the Stevenson Ranch. He had 2 grandchildren who lived in Texas. Eddie was described as a sweet man, and he was the very image of your endearing grandpa. Cuddly, old, but fun-loving. He had come from a family who was into law enforcement. However, he was so passionate about cooking and music. He had worked as a chef almost all of his life. He worked at the Italo-American Club and Aurora Club as a chef for many years. His passion led him to his job at Mamma Mia, where, regardless of his age, he would arrive quite early to make the pizza sauce. Mamma Mia, although quite popular, was just a part of an established strip mall, and usually there is nothing unconventional about a strip mall. It just seems like a widespread and popular place people go about their day-to-day activities, which are most likely jobs. The jobs, not surprisingly, become a routine. It was at this job during one of those early morning routines on June 12, 2006, where he would take his last breath. Eddie Pollitelli was up early, as usual, going about his sauce preparation when at 8:10 a.m. a truck stopped by. Eddie went to meet the truck. It was the delivery man who had come to drop in lettuce and tomatoes, the usual delivery as ordered by the restaurant. Eddie had a drink with the delivery man outside where the tables and chairs were arranged, and they had a little chit-chat for a while, after which the delivery man left. According to eyewitnesses, Eddie was still there when a man holding a handgun came up to him and compelled him, with the visible gun, to go into the restaurant, down to where the kitchen was located, and through the back door to the alley behind the eatery. About 20 minutes later, at 8:30 a.m., Eddie Pollitelli's boss, Anthony Sposato, who was the owner of Mamma Mia at that time, walked in. He went through the front door and to the backspace of the restaurant to see how Eddie was faring. However, getting closer, he became aware that the back door was open. Then, he heard Eddie's voice from the alley behind the restaurant, desperately pleading out, "Don't hurt me. I don't have anything." Anthony Sposato was so terrified to go out there, knowing the attacker could be very close, so he decided to go out through the restaurant's front door to see from the south end of the alley. Eddie Pollitelli noticed him and called out, "Tony, help me. He's got a gun." Anthony looked at the attacker, who was holding a gun firmly in his left hand and a machete in his right hand. He knew that even if he wanted to help, the bullet would reach him faster than it would Tony, so he watched, hoping the attacker would be scared and run out through the other end of the alley. The hooded machete man, shockingly, did not make any attempt to escape. His slight hesitation, though, prompted Eddie to dash and escape. Eddie, though, was 72, and even if he were fit up to that point, which he wasn't, he wouldn't have made it very far. He had undergone 2 previous surgeries on his hip bone. It was pretty easy for the man to pull him back down to the pavement in the alley. As he screamed, "Come back here!" the hooded machete man tugged him to the ground, and he began to strike him heavily with the machete. Anthony Sposato was horror-stricken and ran out the back staggering. He saw a utility truck close by where he told one of his workers to call 911. Anthony picked up a shovel around back and ran to the alley, screaming wildly at the man to stop. Anthony kept saying, "Hey, leave him alone. He's just an old man." The hooded machete man never looked back or stopped. He delivered blow after blow as Eddie Pollitelli writhed in agony, trying to stop the blows with his arms while Anthony watched, banging the shovel in an effort to frighten the hooded machete man. The man kept battering Eddie Pollitelli without flinching, and when he was finished, he simply stood upright and walked out of the alley, got into his car, and left. The ambulance arrived, but it was already quite late by then, and Edward John Pollitelli was pronounced dead. He had lost 1.5 liters of blood. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Homicide Bureau arrived. The scene was searched, and a box believed to have been containing the murder weapon was there. Anthony Sposato was interviewed, and he gave a statement describing the incident vividly. He portrayed the suspect as a Latino male in his late 20s, although he would be in his mid-40s now, had short, brown, spiky hair, is 5 foot 7 inches tall, and weighed about 160 pounds. He was wearing a white t-shirt with a black hoodie over it. He had on jeans and had a black backpack slung over one of his shoulders. He had driven off in a silver-coated Dodge Magnum station wagon. The hooded man was not afraid of showing his face, and he also seemed undisturbed by the fact that there were witnesses. Despite the witnesses and statements, he still has not been apprehended. No one was able to catch a good glimpse of the plate number. It is quite possible that no DNA sample was collected, as nothing of that sort was mentioned, or it might probably not have been used. I reviewed his mistakes and his indifference toward having any forensic evidence against him, like he knew he wouldn't be cut. The police were at a loss over the motive of the murder, since Eddie's plea that he had nothing on him did correspond with the fact that the hooded machete man took him outside and also left without taking anything but Eddie's life, and why he was hacked instead of just simply shot. Eddie was murdered in cold-blooded and sustained even gruesomely pronounced injuries, a vertical stab wound to his solar plexus in the mid-region of his body, and another to his lower abdomen, lacerations to his left ear, a deep gash in his chest bone, abrasions on his lower back, and cuts on his right fingers where he had tried to block out the blows from the Nicholson 18-inch machete. The murder was suspected of having been organized by an organized crime gang. We can never say for sure what terrible things a person did as a teenager. Just a fact, Eddie Pollitelli had his index finger on his right hand severed. However, no one knows to date what led to that. That cruel murder on June 12, 2006, 15 years ago, could have been payback. I believe, as do the police, that it was quite personal. The decisiveness, lack of motive, and insistence on carrying out the vile act reinforced how personal it was. That killer might have just been an assassin working for someone else, or he might have just been an old enemy of Eddie no one knew of, not even Anthony Sposato. Anthony Sposato was devastated over the murder of Eddie Pollitelli, who was not only his co-worker, but his close friend. Although he gave quite a lot of description, the attacker was never found. Supervisor Michael D. Antonovich even set up a reward of $10,000. However, it's been almost 2 decades, and the timeline for the reward expired September 28, 2016, and will only be brought back if the case is open. 15 years now, and the case has had 0 leads. In 2012, a new detective was assigned to the case, and the 2 previous detectives have long since stepped down. The new detective said he was out for clues. 9 years later, almost 10 years, and there are fewer clues than there have ever been. Dodge, a company that produced the vehicle Dodge Magnum station wagon used by the killer, is no longer active. Anthony Sposato, the previous owner of Mamma Mia Pizza restaurant, also the key witness, is dead. Other people who may have never heard of the cold-blooded murder now own the restaurant. The suspect might have moved out of Santa Clarita, been married, or even dead by now. However, last I checked, this case hasn't been declared cold, so you can come to call if you have any piece of information regarding the hooded killer of Eddie Pollitelli. Eddie was taken back to his place of birth to be buried, Providence County in Cranston, Rhode Island in the U.S. Eddie was loved and did not let his age or hip surgeries hold him back. He loved cooking and did it joyfully almost all of his life. It was the primary thing he was known for. He also loved music and would sing jazz at local clubs every once in a while in the evenings. He enjoyed placing bets on racing horses and would also do so once in a while. He was amiable and was loved by people in the Santa Clarita Valley and those who worked with him at Mamma Mia. Eddie was a jolly good fellow, and although he did not want to die, he did live an exciting and fulfilling life doing the things he was truly in love with. There are quite some speculations on who killed Eddie Pollitelli. However, he was already at a later phase of his life where he would have been trying as much as possible to be at peace. So we are left with the question, why did he murder Eddie? Why would anyone want to kill a harmless, cheerful, 72-year-old man? The questions that keep plaguing our minds and the witnesses of the brutal murder. There is only so little of his past we know. Maybe if we answer why, everything else will fall into place and the who will be revealed. Let me know what you guys think about this case in the comments below. I always look forward to reading your interesting theories. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with your fellow investigators. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a case. With that being said, stay safe, and I'll see you guys at the next crime scene.